Okay, so I'm here in a village called Eeklo in Belgium. I arrived last night and I had a little wander around the village yesterday. I'm going to do the same today and then head off to either Bruges, Brussels or Ghent. I haven't quite decided yet. I want to give a big shout out to Jason, who was here in Eeklo when I was looking for the campsite and I couldn't find it. And it turns out that the campsite owner was off-site. He had sent me a message, but I was having issues with my phone, so I hadn't seen the message. And so Jason basically helped me find the campsite. And while we were waiting, we went, had a couple of Cokes in a nearby restaurant. And yeah, just basically helped me feel at home. So yeah, thank you, Jason, if you ever see this. Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, so I'm here in Bruges. I was in Eeklo and the train was going to Ghent, the bus was going to Bruges, and I said to myself, whichever turns up first, that's the one I'll go to. So I ended up taking the bus and coming to Bruges. Again, you know, this place is beautiful. It's very chilled here as well. You know, cobble streets, kind of old architecture, there's cathedrals and churches, and lots of chocolate shops, waffle shops, shops that sell mussels and fries. Yeah, it's very relaxing here, very chilled. I do still get a lot of attention, but I'm kind of used to it now. But one thing I've kind of realized on the journey here today is that it actually takes quite a lot of courage to do what I've been doing, you know, coming on my own abroad to places where there aren't many, if any, Sikhs, being in Bana, keeping Gurjeet, you know, doing my best to wake up on time to do my Nitnem and, you know, live like a Gursikh. You know, I do my best. You know, I'm not perfect, but I do my best. And to come out here on my own in Bana and knowing that I was going to get the attention that I'm getting, you know, it does take courage. I've realised that, and I've also realised that for a partner, a significant other, a wife, she's going to have to be very courageous as well, just to be able to deal with all of this. So today is my third and final day in Belgium, and I've really enjoyed it, more than I thought I would. Yesterday I was in Bruges, and it's a beautiful city. I was getting a lot of attention, and even though I am kind of used to it, it was starting to wear me down a little bit. And then all of a sudden I hear Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh, and I look around and there's a Sahajdari Punjabi Sikh. He introduces himself. His name's Gurjeet Singh. He owns an Indian restaurant and he has a real love for Nihang Singhs. So he invited me over to his restaurant And later that day I went over and had a meal. It's a beautiful restaurant. It's called the Taj Mahal. It's beautiful food, amazing food, and he really looked after me. He even gave me a lift home as well afterwards to the Airbnb. So yeah, it was a very pleasant experience, and I think we both saw it as Girpa. He was looking for Sangat, and I was just getting a little bit wary of being on my own and having so much attention, that to actually meet somebody and be able to have Sangat with someone was really welcome. He also advised me that there is a Gurdwara in Ghent, the city of Ghent, and that's where I am now, so hopefully I can find it. So for my final night in mainland Europe, I'm staying in a town in France called Wambrechies. But let's take a look at the accommodation. So let's take a look. Wow, so I've got a couch right here. And here we have the steering wheel. I'm not sure what they call it, but if I ever do feel like maybe going to the south of France, Saint-Tropez or something, all the controls are there. We've got a bookcase, TV, table. We've got a nice little kitchen here as well with a hob, sink, even a microwave oven. That's the hot water boiler. Here we have, let's have a look, the toilet. And here is the shower. Yeah, it's pretty decent. I'll be literally sleeping with the fishes. Let's come inside here now, into the bedroom. Yeah, it's a nice bed. And a window on the other side as well. Now I've opened up the blinds a little bit just to be able to show you guys the place, but I'll be closing them soon because it's an extremely hot day today. I'll probably be sat out here people watching. I think enough people have been watching me. Now it's my turn. So I think I'll go for a walk, come back, do my rara sahib, cook myself a meal, maybe try and squeeze in a quick workout, and then call it a night. So just walking around this French town, there's something that I've realised. Around about 150 years ago, when the Europeans came over to India and the British started their empire, they came to Punjab and they recruited Indian soldiers, and with regards to the Khalsa, they gave their soldiers an instruction. Whenever you see a Sikh in a blue uniform, a Nihang Singh in a Bana, shoot them on sight. Don't ask any questions. Whenever you see anyone looking like me, just shoot them on sight. And this is in Punjab. And that was around 1840, 1850, throughout the rule of Punjab until about 1920. And now today, I'm walking around Europe in my Bana, and I'm complaining about people looking at me. Yeah, a lot has changed, and I think sometimes a bit of perspective helps. Okay, so I'm on the deck of my boat having a coffee just before bed, and I'm thinking about the future because Tonight is my last night in mainland Europe. Tomorrow I'm going back to the UK for one final leg of the Chakrvarti experience. And then in terms of content creation, I'm probably going to take a little break for a while. You know, earlier on in the year I was making reels. It was early morning, usually on my way to work, and I was just sharing reflections. And given that the content that I've created this year I think has been quite successful, it's been a lot more successful than I expected it to be. So I think towards the end of this year, I'll continue making some other different types of content. And, you know, I've got full faith in Maharaj. And I know that all I need to do is wake up, do my nitnem, live according to Rahat, and just do my best. And Maharaj will take care of the rest of it. So what's next? I don't even know. But I'm still excited. Okay, so I've spent my final day here in mainland Europe, in Calais. Earlier on I went to the mall, and I've spent the rest of the day on the beach. And while I was on the beach, I actually took off my Bana and just lay on the sand in my kashera. And even when I was walking up and down the beach, you know, I only had a vest on and my kashera. And the reason I even mention that is I have a few kind of issues, might be a bit strong of a word, but challenges, I guess, around body image. I've got a lot of scars on my body from the various illnesses and operations that I've had over the years. And in the past I've had a hernia, I've had a stoma, and on top of that, I'm not in the best shape I've ever been in. You know, I'm training, but I've looked better, you know. And when you add all of that into the whole equation about whether an Amritdhari Singh should even, you know, walk around topless, present themselves topless in public, in videos and things like that, that's a whole, you know, separate debate as well. But even just being on a beach and taking off my Bana, being just topless with my kashera was a thing for me. It was something that I did with trepidation, a bit of unease. But what I felt was actually walking around or just laying there, being there without my shirt on it's normal, and I felt ordinary. I actually felt ordinary, which is a good thing, because in my mind it's so much worse than that. In my mind it's like, you know, I feel horrible, you know, I feel like I look terrible. But actually, you know, it's not that bad, you know. And it was nice that I kind of felt ordinary, because I realised that when I put on my Bana, I stopped being ordinary, and that's when I become visible. But what's really interesting about this last part of this trip is that the 3 places that I've been to are actually, in reverse order, the first 3 places I ever went to with my family other than India. And it just so happened, you know, to work out that way. It wasn't planned or anything, but our first ever family trip was to Calais, which is where I am now, and then to Bruges, which I've just been to, and then to Rotterdam, which is, you know, close to The Hague. So, you know, but there's a nice little kind of symmetry that's happened there. You know, these places that I went to in primary school as a child, I went with my family, and I've returned to as a very different man. So yeah, I've really enjoyed my time here in Europe, and I'm getting onto the ferry in a moment to go back to the UK, but that's not quite the end of Chakrvarti. We've still got a little bit more left to go.